Heyo, and what is up, gang? Thank you for checking out Sledgehammer TV tonight. It is Tuesday, May the 8th, 2018, and Money in the Bank season opened up on SmackDown Live in what I would say was a decent show, but don't get all crazy yet, because it wasn't all unicorn farts and pancakes on SmackDown Live, and we are not here to sing the praises and bust out the fireworks. We are here to bring the hammer down on SmackDown Live from Baltimore, Maryland, right here and right now on the newest, fastest rising, most entertaining and awesome podcast in all of YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and Podbean, baby. The Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. Let's do it!
The Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
Alright, wrestling fans, thank you so much for joining me. My name is Nick Nightmare. Along with me, as always, is the world's greatest tag team of the official Sledgehammer of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, Thor, the wrestling god of thunder, and his trusty companion and mine, the world heavyweight champion. Look at him. Look at him sitting here all blinged out. Fucking awesome, Mr. Blue. The Snowball microphone. Thank you guys so much for joining us once again. This is the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show's SmackDown Live review. And like we said last night, talking about Raw, we're going to be fair. We are going to be fair. And Raw was structured as it pertains to the build towards Money in the Bank properly. And SmackDown Live literally gave you the exact same show with an hour less filler. We got a qualifying match for Money in the Bank to open the show. We had one for the women nestled right in the middle, and then we ended the night with a very high-profile match between two of the biggest, most beloved superstars. I'm not too sure how I feel about that. We are going to get into who and what the participants were in just a second, but the show was, SmackDown Live, structured properly. It just seemed to work a little bit better than Monday Night Raw. But like I said, hold in your unicorn farts that'll bust out the rainbows and make everything all bright and shiny, because there's a lot about this show that I still didn't like, that doesn't make sense, and we're going to talk about all of that right now. This show started off and I was absolutely hysterical. Hysterical laughing. It was the most amusing segment of the night. Way more entertaining than anything we saw with the New Day and The Bar, which we'll talk about in a second as well. Paige comes out and she wants to declare Backtrash a smashing success. It was a smashing success. I wanted to smash my TV Sunday night. Smashing success. My ass. That statement was so full of shit that even the crowd in Baltimore was booing that statement. They got all over Paige like, yeah, right. What the hell show were you watching Sunday night? You definitely aren't talking about fucking Backlash, little Miss Smashing. I don't think so. Absolutely hysterical. A smashing success. No way, Jose. And then she goes on to announce the qualifiers for the rest of the evening. Her segment was literally pointless. It was an absolute mimicking of what we saw out of Kurt Angle last night, only without the interruptions by wrestler A and B and doing the generic WWE Raw formula. This was just Paige coming out telling you guys, hey, we're going to have a big night. Backlash was a smashing success. And the Money in the Bank, hooray! And that was it. And then she left. And we had The Miz versus Jeff Hardy in our first qualifying match for SmackDown Live. And let me tell you something. Going into this match, I expected nothing. I expected something very similar to what we've seen with Randy Orton and Jeff Hardy on Sunday night. Just a very, lackluster, very I'm just here to work kind of performance out of these two. We're just going to go through the motions and give you guys a quick match. I assumed they were going to give the win to Jeff Hardy. I assumed incorrectly, and they did the right thing in this instance. And I want this to sink in on all you guys. Once again, we've been talking a lot about The Miz this week, and rightfully so. Because The Miz on Sunday gave us one of the best matches the WWE has put together all year with Seth Rollins for the Intercontinental Championship. It was not one of the greatest matches ever. It maybe was one of the better matches of the year, especially pertaining to Raw, that gives us garbage on a frequent basis. But this was a continuation of that trend by The Miz, as SmackDown Live would prove to be just something better. Something about The Miz on SmackDown Live just brings out his inner wrestler. And all of his bullshit and all of the shit he spews, you could stomach it all, because when he gets in the ring, he gives you matches like we got in a 20-minute great qualifying match between heel and babyface that the crowd got wrapped up in. The crowd made the match even more fun. Everybody was invested in this match by the end of it. And the shocking surprise ending after Jeff Hardy would hit the Swanton Bomb, and The Miz, being the ring veteran and scouting his opponent and knowing what was coming, had the wherewithal to scoot his body over and end up crucifix roll up on Jeff Hardy, unbeknownst to him, and before he even knew it, the match was over and The Miz would qualify for the Money in the Bank. This was a good match, you guys. This was a good match, and you have to give props to The Miz, because much like Seth Rollins, Jeff Hardy could pretty much wrestle anybody. We saw that on Sunday night. That ridiculous match with Randy Orton would have been even worse had it not had been Jeff Hardy in there giving his all to try to do the best he can with who he's in there with. And then you give him a proper dancing partner that actually wants to be there, that has, after almost 2 decades in the business, is still trying to gain respect and still trying to earn everybody's respect. And I think this year The Miz can without a doubt be praised and be respected in unison. Look at the quality of matches we are getting out of The Miz right now. Amidst a sea of garbage, we are getting greatness from a guy who has been universally panned for years over his soft style. And yeah, he may still wrestle in that soft style, trying to protect the moneymaker, but look at what we got. One of the best matchups we've seen on SmackDown all year. Absolutely fantastic. I can get more of that. If you want to give me stuff like this every week, sign me up. I'm great. I'm great with it. If you want to come out of that and go backstage to Sheamus and Cesaro and give me a depressed Sheamus sitting there eating Lucky Charms out of a bag because it's making him feel better about his loss to Xavier Woods. Lucky Charms? That's what's going to make you feel better? Give me a bag of this magic Lucky Charms that solves depression, Mr. Sheamus. Get out of here. What is this nonsense? This scripted comedy bullshit. And then you got Cesaro like, listen, I got Xavier Woods tonight. I'm going to get vengeance for you, bro. I got your back. And then they go to dress up and they open their bags and the bags are full of pancakes. Pancakes. We are still running this pancake shit into the ground as hard as they are running Roman Reigns into the ground. I'm so tired of the pancakes. I really wish the New Day would get serious. And why are we seeing the New Day versus the Bar again? We're having these singles matchups now. Where is it leading? Neither one of these teams have the championship. They're not vying for championship contention. They are now going to face each other next week to see which member will eventually win a chance to go on into the Money in the Bank. You're going to have a single superstar, a tag superstar going into a singles scenario in the Money in the Bank ladder match. Why? You're going to break up Sheamus and Cesaro after you move them to SmackDown Live? I don't know how I feel about that. Maybe it's time to break that up, but they just got new t-shirts. They're just starting to sell merch. Give these guys a chance. Feels like they've been around for a while, but they actually have really just started to gel as a full unit. The New Day, if anybody, are the ones that need to disband. Maybe that's their intention. Maybe they're going to give Big E a shot. Or maybe they're going to break off Xavier Woods. or Kofi Kingston and leave the other two in the tag team division and have the New Day throughout the card. At this point, I don't want to see that because I'm so tired of it. I'm getting tired of it. They need to move on. They're usually very good at changing the act, at least a little bit. That's why we've come to the point where we have bootios and pancakes. We need to move past the pancakes now. It's an old stale joke, probably as stale as the pancakes that were in that fucking bag. They dumped all these pancakes all over, and Sheamus, I hate pancakes! I feel you, bro. I hate the pancakes, too. We had a promo for Sanity. I like these promos. They remind me of the old school, the following announcement is paid for by the New World Order. Like, they're very jumpy, very, very grainy, very old video style. The coming of Sanity is being done very well. I love the old school promo vignettes leading to the eventual debut of the superstar. It's fantastic. And the Sanity ones are great. I was happy to see that. I, as a personal fan, am getting impatient. I do want to see them, but I'm smart enough to wait and be patient and savor in the moment, because when they finally do show up, they're either going to sink or swim with this creative team, because I think they have absolutely no idea what to do with a team like Sanity, but that remains to be seen. We would remain backstage. Renee and Shinsuke Nakamura. Now, this was actually pretty funny. Shinsuke Nakamura still going with the speak no English thing, and Renee was like, Shinsuke, listen, stop the bullshit, bro. We all know you understand English, so before you forget how to speak it once again, why don't you tell me what's going on with you and AJ Styles? Shinsuke Nakamura claimed to forget. He says, yes, I learned English, but I forgot. What? That's one of the most obnoxious statements ever. I loved it. I thought it was very cool. It was a good spin on this heel character. I like the direction in which they're going with him backstage. And I'm just, again, I'm patient to the point where I can get on board with this whole thing with him and AJ, as long as they don't keep going for the balls. Because eventually my balls are going to swell up from all the nut shots that I'm seeing on television. But essentially this promo was very good for Shinsuke. He said that AJ Styles is nuts, but so is he, and he's not done with AJ Styles just yet, and that's fine with me. I'm alright with that. What I'm not alright with is all these fucking selfie promos, and whether or not they were a selfie promo or a promo backstage, don't get on my balls about it. The fact is they all felt the exact same. You got a bunch of people, with the exception of Carmelo, who was just hyping this royal celebration, which make me throw up right now. Just gag me right now. I don't want to even see it, not even one bit. Why you would announce that to try to get people to want to watch the show? By announcing that, you've made at least half the audience not want to watch the show from London, England next week. We'll talk a little more about that in a second. But you got Ty Dillinger now coming out saying he's going to be in the Money in the Bank. Naomi's coming out. She's going to be in the Money in the Bank. Why don't you guys wait until you have an actual match booked before you start hyping how you're going to win the Money in the Bank? Later on in the night, we saw Shelton Benjamin. Right? We saw Asuka. These promos got to go. They gotta go. When you have a match coming up where that you are in and you are going to gain that opportunity, fine. Otherwise, stop talking trash out of your fucking mouth. Oh, I'm gonna win the Greatest Royal Rumble. I haven't been on TV in 3 months. You guys forgot my name. You don't know my theme song. I'm not allowed to do my 10 chants anymore because the creative doesn't like that they're chanting along with the referee the number 10. But I'm gonna win the Money in the Bank. And like I talked about briefly on the Raw review last night, which it did go up earlier this afternoon, if you missed it, check it out. We had Mike Kanellis coming out on YouTube last night. We had Fandango and Tyler Breeze. We had The Ascension. All these people that we haven't seen in months, that have done nothing, that are irrelevant. You want to come out there and talk about, I'm going to be in the Money in the Bank. You can't even get on Monday Night Raw. Stop it. When you have a match, Ty Dillinger, then sit there and tell me that you're going to go in your match tonight and you're going to win your chance and gain your spot in the Money in the Bank. Until then, everybody shut the fuck up. I don't want to hear it. Just like I don't want to hear the Iconics. I'd rather them just go out there and wrestle. I don't like this bullshit, dramatic, just absolute cringeworthy promos they are giving these girls. They're just having fun with each other and poking fun at Charlotte, talking about her daddy, talking about all this shit. I don't care. I don't give a damn about a word out of their mouth. I don't care how beautiful Peyton Royce is. Billie Kay is an eyesore to me. You might like her, and that's good for you. For some reason, the girl just turned to me the absolute wrong way. I don't care. Peyton Royce has got all the wrestling ability in the world. She showcased that tonight. We had her go one-on-one with Charlotte Flair in a qualifying match for the Money in the Bank. And Charlotte Flair should not be doing aerial maneuvers. She's nearly, if not over, 6 feet tall. And I know you're going to tell me, oh, Nick, well, the Undertaker flies through the air, and this guy flies through the air, and all these other big guys. And it don't look any better when they do it either. But you're talking about seasoned veterans and guys that have been doing it for their whole life. And then you have Charlotte Flair, who's been in wrestling for a cup of coffee. If you want to compare her to legends like her dad, she shouldn't be doing these maneuvers at her stature with her height and the way her body is. Sure, it looks great when she takes off. When she goes to do that moonsault and she's flipping her body in the air, it's graceful and it's beautiful. And then it lands like a fucking Titanic plane crash. And it never looks good. Because she's so big. Yeah, you could be graceful and maneuver your body in the air, but when your feet hit the floor before you know they're there because you're so damn big, it never comes off right. She wants to fly and be doing tope suicide. Is just 6 feet tall. Leave that to the Sashas and the Alexas. Let the little people get over and do that. That's what makes them different. A bigger woman like her, with her sporty and athletic frame and her wrestling pedigree in her last name, does not need to be flipping around the ring like an indie superstar. She needs to go out there and wrestle. She's a Flair. You didn't see Ric Flair doing all that kind of shit. He picked his spots and he did his flips in different ways. Never did he look like a car crash coming down the highway. Charlotte Flair often does that. However, this match was not too bad. We had some interference from Billie Kay on the outside, of course, but it did not play a decision in the outcome. It was not a factor towards the end. And Charlotte Flair would wrap up Peyton Royce in the figure eight and get her to tap her pretty face out. And then Charlotte Flair would qualify for the Money in the Bank. And that would be it. It was a decent match. Nowhere near as good as the triple threat on Raw last night for the women, just as far as comparing the women's divisions are concerned. But not bad compared to what we've been getting. And I much rather would have seen that than had to have seen the other women's match that happened tonight, which we will talk about in a second. We had an interview with Daniel Bryan in the back, pretty much putting over that Big Cass beat him up pretty bad, but that's not going to let him get anything. Nothing is going to stand in his way on his way to winning the Money in the Bank briefcase. In his match with Rusev tonight will be no different, as he claimed he would be victorious. However, that would not be the case as the night would go on. We had the matchup between Cesaro and Xavier Woods, which was 7 minutes of pretty much nothing. Cesaro, the big story would be the way he won this match, if you ask me. Xavier Woods went up to the top rope to hit that top rope elbow drop he does, where he kind of walks the rope like The Undertaker for a couple of seconds and then drops a nice, vicious Randy Savage-style elbow on his opponent, going for the win. I forgot what he calls it, if he even calls it anything. But he went for that move, and while he was nice and high up in the air, Cesaro came out of nowhere with that vicious European uppercut that busted Xavier Woods wide open in his mouth. The guy was bleeding all over the place when the match was over. Cesaro would get the win and gain a measure of vengeance for his Mohawkian buddy, Sheamus, a good friend of the show here at Sledgehammer TV. Inconsequential match. It's just leading to another match between these 5 guys. However they're going to break it up, I don't know. We'll have to tune in next week and find out. AJ Styles had his interview in the back, like we talked about before. Shinsuke had his thing to say. AJ now had his rebuttal, and he also had a very big gash on his face from the vicious chair shot that he got by accident during their matchup at Sunday's Backlash pay-per-view. AJ Styles says, he regrets how that match went down. They got a little hot, and he doesn't want to fight like that. He doesn't want to be a dirty fighter, but he can if he has to. And if Nakamura has the guts, he'll be waiting, and he'll finish him off for good this time. We then had a 3-minute debacle. Mandy Rose, the prettiest face of Crap Solution, in her SmackDown Live singles debut versus Straight Fire Becky Lynch. The only good thing that happened in this segment was that prior to the match, Mandy Rose was getting ready to go out there, and she had her running buddy Sonya Deville with her. And Paige maybe listens to this show, and heard what I said last night about Ruby Riott and the Riott Squad, and how they are just bringing down Ruby Riott, and that Ruby Riott should have kicked them off the stage and been like, hey, listen, this is my shot. Back up off me. Don't screw this up for me. If you want to see more about that, check out the Raw review from earlier today. And she barred Sonya Deville from ringside, making there absolutely no chance of there being any shenanigans or a screw-up finish. The exchange between the girls was not that bad, not that cringy this time. They actually, piqued my interest. I thought it was interesting just for a moment. And then we had the match, if you want to call it that. 3 minutes. And Becky Lynch has never looked so bad in her life. I don't understand what this storyline is with Becky Lynch. Is she the lovable loser? Are we supposed to be sympathetic towards her because she can't get her shit together? She seems to be on a downward slope, right? A downhill spiral. Or whatever Corey Graves dubbed it. She hasn't been doing good as of late. Her luck has been running short. Right? And tonight would be more in that storyline. You want to give Mandy Rose a win over the first ever SmackDown Live Women's Champion. Someone who's way more deserved of a win in this scenario. It's not even being counted towards the Money in the Bank qualifiers or anything like that. It's just Mandy Rose's debut versus Becky Lynch. They didn't even get barely over 2.5 minutes, and Mandy Rose beats Becky Lynch. Mandy Rose beat former Women's Champion Becky Lynch, former NXT Superstar Becky Lynch, Straight Fire Becky Lynch, in less than 3 minutes. With a bullshit roll-up that she gained the advantage on her because Becky Lynch would slip and, clothesline herself over the top rope and then end up in a roll-up, and then the match would be over. And then she's sitting there looking all like, oh, shucks, I lost the match. What are you doing? What are you doing to Becky Lynch? Why sacrifice her for Mandy Rose? What is Mandy Rose worth right now? She's definitely not worth them putting together a good enough theme song. That theme song was horrible. Actually sounded a lot like the theme song Lana comes out to, only much more slowed down and porno-wized. Wow. Because, she is sexy. Wow. We gotta have this wow, 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 wow. Why not just give her a fucking regular song? What was that? Definitely didn't fit. And then she had to do all these weird stops. Her entrance was dreadful. Absolutely cringeworthy. I don't give a shit how pretty you are. Hurry the fuck up and get to the ring. What was with all the stop pauses? And the pouty face? And the duck lips? Look at me, I'm pretty. Get to the fucking ring and wrestle. The little filter, the angelic filter, blurring around the edges, making her look up. Get out of here. You don't have to oversell something that already has a pretty package. Putting a pretty box that's already been wrapped in, beautiful crystal and glittery paper with a nice big bow on top. If you take that box and then you put it in the post office box to mail to somebody else, that box ruins the rest of the box. So you're putting all that extra shit around her is just making her too much. It's definitely putting her in Eva Marie territory. And then you want to see what she got to give you in the ring, and it was nothing. She was obviously nervous because she was botching up all over the place. She couldn't even fall down right. Obviously, there was one spot she was supposed to get to the outside of the ring, and she missed. She missed going through the bottom rope, the very simplest of basic wrestling maneuvers. Or even if she wasn't supposed to do that, then she fell awkwardly into the bottom rope before they went through that segment where she eventually ended up winning this match without even a single fucking offensive move. Ridiculous. Awful. Awful. Then you had Daniel Bryan versus Rusev, the main event, the qualifying match for Money in the Bank that we would end the show with, which was a very, very good match. Daniel Bryan looked great. Rusev looked great. However, this is a double-edged sword for me because I loved the win for Rusev Day in this case. He's definitely deserved some sort of a feature spotlight. He needs to be in the Money in the Bank, and by them booking him versus Daniel Bryan, I immediately assumed that Big Cass was going to play a part in the finish and we were going to see a repeat of what we saw last night with Jinder Mahal. That was not the case. Tonight we got Rusev beating Daniel Bryan clean, and the announcers want to put over the fact that Daniel Bryan lost due to the injuries he sustained from Big Cass over the last few weeks. So this is still inadvertently Cass's fault, even though he had nothing to do with the match tonight, physically. What? Daniel Bryan, for the majority of that match, didn't look like anything was bothering him. He did not look hindered in the slightest bit to me. Maybe I missed something. You guys are always free to enlighten me in the comment section down below, which as always is yours, but that I didn't see any weakness in Daniel Bryan. In fact, it was a great psychological match. He was working Rusev limb from limb, getting Rusev's arm to the point where he couldn't even lock in the accolade, and Rusev had to go find something else in his arsenal to try to defeat the crowd favorite. The crowd was all over this match. They made this match a lot of fun. Rusev Day, Daniel Bryan dueling chants. There weren't any chants of beat the traffic tonight at SmackDown Live because everybody wants to see Daniel Bryan. But the WWE just does not know what they're doing with this Daniel Bryan character. He is clearly one of the most favored people on the roster, beloved by fans, respected worldwide, by his peers too, by other wrestlers in the company, but they don't care about him in creative or maybe even in corporate. Who knows what the reasoning is? Why would he be featured so negatively upon his return since his arrival? When do you remember seeing Daniel Bryan even winning at this point? I mean, he won at the Greatest Royal Rumble versus Big Cass, but do you remember that he won it? Do you remember that Big Cass ended up beating the shit out of him anyway? Because that's what the WWE wants you to remember, because they need him to lose to Rusev on a night like tonight. And they want to give all the blame and all the heat to Big Cass. It doesn't make sense. I would have much preferred to see both of these men take on somebody else. So though the quality of this match was great, I just hate the way the WWE is using Daniel Bryan merely as a vehicle to get over a 7-foot-tall waste of time and space. That wasn't even on the show tonight, so how important could he actually be if you want to make him such a big main event guy? This show went off the air tonight after Rusev would nail Daniel Bryan with a vicious Machka kick, pick up the 1-2-3, and Daniel Bryan would be left standing outside the ring all sad and despondent that he lost this match to Rusev, with the crowd chanting for Daniel Bryan in support of him and trying to give him, I guess, a pat on the back or just show their support and their love for him in spite of his loss. And that was SmackDown Live. I still, even though we just talked about it for, what are we at now, just about a half an hour, I'm not really sure how I feel. I'm very, very glad that we got Machka in the bank, right? Rusev in the bank. He's going to be in that match with Braun Strowman, The Miz, and Finn Balor. So far, the 50% of the match has been filled, and the field is looking pretty damn good. It's looking good. We know one of those other spots is going for he who we will not talk about on this night. You know who he is. We already probably talked about him once or twice. I'm sure I said his name because he's just the cancer that infects everything that is pro wrestling. Every decision, every maneuver that they make is his fault. But SmackDown Live tonight was not. Like I said, this was not a great show by any means. It was, however, one of the better episodes of SmackDown Live after the train wreck after train wreck that we've been getting. The last show being almost nothing but bullshit for 2 hours. We got 5 decent matchups, one or the other better than the other 2 or whatever. They weren't 5-star classics. You don't have to go back and really watch this show unless you're absolutely interested in Money in the Bank. And like I said on Raw's review earlier today, I can appreciate the fact that they are building towards this show already. And by things being in motion, it's almost making you need to watch the show again, because by the time we get to June and Money in the Bank, things could be tremendously different. People are qualifying now, but does that truly mean they will be there in the end? I don't know. The WWE are bastards, and they could change things on the fly, and they could do whatever they want. So we will just have to wait and see by the time this pay-per-view comes if this card and this match holds up. So far, so good, you guys. Even in the case of the women, we got Charlotte Flair and we got Ember Moon. I think that Charlotte Flair maybe should have lost this match tonight and allowed a new, fresh face to be in the Money in the Bank. That doesn't mean Peyton Royce or Billie Kay might not make their way into the Money in the Bank. They do have a matchup of 8 people that they have to fill in. They only have 2 so far in the women's division. But I feel like Charlotte's kind of like had her chance. Like, she's been the champion tons of times. If you're not going to go with her now, obviously you're going with Carmella because she was last year's Money in the Bank winner. So obviously she's going to be champion at the next year's Money in the Bank extravaganza. But if you're not going to go with Charlotte, then give the rub to somebody else. You know, do the heel thing in the right scenario. I think that would have been the proper spot for a Billie Kay or somebody from the outside. There were such high stakes involved. If they would have got away with it, it would have been great. And Charlotte could have maybe fought her way in at a later date, the way they're going to do with Roman Reigns, since she essentially is the female Roman Reigns in the WWE. All the WWE's women's division is about has been Charlotte Flair until the arrival of Ronda Rousey. And I wonder if she will play a part or be a part in this Money in the Bank women's ladder match. Only the second one in history. The first 2 contestants got me excited. The first 4 male entrants got me ready for this matchup. So far, we got 4 more names to go and 5 more weeks to do it. 6 more names for the ladies. SmackDown Live, like I said, not the biggest disappointment, but it could be leaps and bounds better, as it was still full of reasons for us to bring this hammer down. Thank you guys so much for joining me. It's been a very rough day for me. We had Raw, like I said, went up just a few hours ago, the Raw review. We had a hell of a night last night. I am absolutely fucking tuckered out. I am going to go and get myself some Z's right now. Hopefully the rest of the week will bring us some news, so we don't have to wait until Monday to be back here talking about Raw to get on this channel. There's been no news as of late to really talk about. Maybe I'll put together something special for you guys. Who knows what the week will bring. But I want to thank you guys once again for being a part of the Sledgehammer Club, the official fan club of Sledgehammer TV and the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. And if you are not a member by now, what are you waiting for? Take your imaginary sledgehammers at home and smash them down on that subscribe button. And then you could hit the drop. You can hit or drop kick that thumbs up right in the nuts, in the face, where AJ got his little gash, wherever it is you want to hit that thumb. Find the proper spot and just bash it. This way the world knows that we're okay with you. And then share this video with all of your wrestling friends. Everybody that you know that celebrates Rusev Day should have their eyes on this show. We celebrate Rusev Day. We are very happy that Machka in the Bank is now a thing on this channel, and we are going to continue to sing its praises. Do not forget, if you're listening to us on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, or Podbean, get your eyeballs on the YouTube channel so that you can actually see some of these things I'm referencing, like my wonderful Happy Rusev Day graphic, or my handmade Machka in the Bank sign that's hanging over my left shoulder, or you can finally see for yourself what all the fuss is about with the world's greatest tag team. The wrestling god of thunder, Thor the Sledgehammer, the official Sledgehammer of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, and my little buddy, his tag team partner, and my trusted companion, the World Heavyweight Champion of Microphones, Blue the Snowball. And along with me, the legendary host of Sledgehammer TV, Nick Nightmare, bringing the hammer down, even during decent shows, because like we said, it's not all wine and rainbows and unicorn farts and pancakes. It's all about bringing down the hammer. Thank you guys so much. That is going to do it. We are out of here, and we will see you next time right here on the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. Have a good night.